All right, it's Friday, the beginning of another exciting weekend ahead. Before we go to the weekend, we have a show for you this exciting afternoon. And today on a pause from our studios here in Accra and around the world, this is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Now, the European Union foreign policy chief skeptical about Ghana's anti-LGBTQ bill passed by Parliament will become law as he expresses confidence President Akufo-Addo will stick to his commitment to human rights.
In Ghana, as it is in the case in any other country on the continent and in the world, it is current form. The bill requires close review in light of Ghana's international and constitutional human rights commitments.
And of course, we will engage proponents of the bill who have issued a strong warning to the EU to back off. Also, high-powered delegation from the Ghana Prison Service arrived in Bawku as investigations have been launched to unravel circumstances leading to the alleged clashes between some soldiers and personnel of the Ghana Prison Service in the Upper East region. We are live in the region for details. And later, from turmoil to triumph, we'll bring you the story of the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II as he celebrates 25 years of peaceful rule on the Golden Stool. And of course, the pause, as always, is brought to you by Global Communities Digilo, affordable, safe sanitation for all. We are live on channel 421 on DSTV, GoTV 125. My name is Elton Brobev. You are allowed to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and my Joy Online for these and more. We shall be back to deal with the issues on hand this afternoon. We are ready to go this exciting Friday afternoon. Now let's start from the Bawku in the Upper East region because a high-powered delegation from the Ghana Prison Service has arrived in Bawku as investigations have been launched to unravel circumstances leading to alleged clashes between some soldiers and personnel of the Ghana Prison Service in the Upper East region. The Ghana Prison Service, in a statement signed by the Director General, urged personnel to exercise restraint and await the findings of the internal investigation, which will lay bare the facts of the clash. On the screen now is a copy of the statement from the Ghana Prison Service, and the statement reads, the Director General of the prisons has noted with deep concern and empathy the reported case of an unfortunate brawl between the officers of the Bawku local prison and a detachment of the Ghana Army stationed in the same town in the evening of April 24th, 2024. And the statement goes on to makes the point that this is an unhealthy situation which should not have occurred, to say the least, especially between members of the country's national security institution in a town as unstable as Bawku. And in a bit to nip the fracas in the bud, we held an immediate teleconference with the top hierarchy of the military, the police, and others within national security architecture, even as the events were unfolding in Bawku. And he has also caused an investigation into the incident which will lay bare the facts. Besides a high-powered delegation from the prison headquarters, it's already on its way, and we understand that they're already in Bawku in order to ascertain the facts of the matter and hold relevant discussions with the Regional Security Council. And given the volatile nature of the incident and the sensitivity of its reportage, there is the need, according to the statement, for all officers, and more especially those in Bawku, to exercise the highest restraint whilst the requisite steps are taken by the authorities of the prisons and the army to get this matter resolved once and for all. All right, so let me bring in our Upper East Regional correspondent, Albert Sorry, who joins me via Zoom. Albert, is Bawku calm?
Yes, Elton. There's no incident at all. This clash has not affected, normal daily activity in any way. So everything is calm, and people are going about their day without any problem.
So walk us through events of April 24th and how come military personnel had to engage in this open fracas with prison service personnel.
Right. So the information we gathered was that the Bonaa, the paramount chief of Bawku, was having an event. He's celebrating his 40th anniversary on the chieftaincy skin. And so he was launching the event at his palace when two, civilians created some sort of nuisance at the place. And so the soldiers who were there trying to provide security for the place were trying to, maybe arrest these two civilians and punish them for what they had done. And so they pursued them and they ran to the Bawku prison. It's not too far from where the event was taking place. So what we understand is that they sought refuge by running into the Bawku prisons. And the soldiers followed them to the place and demanded that the prisons officers who were there at the time should release them, these civilians, so they could punish them. But the prisons officers were reluctant to do this. They were trying to protect them. And so this was where the misunderstanding ensued, because it appeared that the soldiers felt, the prisons officers were sort of trying to impose their authority on the soldiers. And so it led to a scuffle. And after a while, the soldiers left the scene and returned later with some of their colleagues who, came, and it resulted in a bigger confrontation between the two security services. We understand even police tried to intervene because they were fighting among themselves, and the police tried to get in between to, if you like, in as we say in the local parlance, separate them, and prevent them from continuing with what they were doing. But they didn't listen. So it was in the course of this confusion that a rifle, went off. We don't know whether it was deliberate, but a gun was fired, and one of the prison's officers was injured in the process, and he's still receiving treatment in hospital in Bawku as we speak.
So the two individuals who were being pursued by the military, at the time that this melee was happening, the military, were they able to take them out, or they were still held by the prison officers?
We have not heard anything at all about these two civilians again because of how big this scuffle between the two security agencies turned out to be. From what we also understand, there had been an older feud between them. Yesterday, some other stories that I picked up had to do with the fact that one soldier and a prisons officer had a disagreement some time ago over a mobile phone device. We don't know what exactly was the reason for the confusion between them. But in the course of that disagreement, which happened some time ago, some prisons officers allegedly helped their colleague, and they beat up the soldier who had the misunderstanding with the prisons officer. And so that sort of disagreement, resulted in a fight, and some sort of feud had been between the two security agencies before yesterday's incident. So, the incident of the 24th April. So, from the stories that we have gathered, it appears that what happened on the 24th was just a sort of
a small screen, if you like.
Because, yes, because and there had already been an existing feud between these two security agencies. And just back to the question of the two civilians that you asked, because of all the confusion that has happened, we haven't, heard anything about them. But there hasn't been any mention of them. But from what I've gathered, I do not believe that the soldiers even pursued them any longer.
Right. So yesterday, when we spoke to the military high command, they made it clear that the military had come into contact with this video. And the military was in the process of starting internal investigations. Subsequently, we got a statement from the prison service. And we understand that the regional minister also has taken keen interest in this matter. Update us on all the issues that happened after the 24th.
So yesterday, the regional minister, Hafiz bin Sali, who has just been transferred from the Upper East region, in that recent
ministerial reshuffle,
the president, the Upper East regional minister who was previously here, Stephen Yakubu, is now in the Upper West region. In fact, the handing over ceremony for the two regional ministers happened sometime last week. So this is almost like the very first official assignment for Mr. Hafiz bin Sali. So he was in Bawku yesterday afternoon following this incident. In fact, when we tried to talk to him before his visit, he made it clear to us that he did not want to comment on the matter until he had visited the place. So shortly after his visit, he spoke to the media, and he did not really go into the details of the discussions that he held with both the men in the prison service and then in the Ghana Armed Forces. What he said was that they had all agreed that they will calm down and that things were under control. And he assured the residents of Bawku that they should rest assured that the town is secure, and that what had happened was unfortunate, but they are on top of the issue and they will resolve it and things will come back to normal.
Are you aware whether this so-called investigation has started?
Yeah, so before I joined you on air, I was talking to my sources within the prison service. In fact, a gentleman who was introduced to me as the second in command in Bawku told me that because of the chain of command, they cannot talk to the media officially on this matter because people have to be given the clearance to speak on it. And so he was very friendly about it, but he said that when the investigations are over, the right officials within the prison service will update the media on all the necessary things that we need to hear. What he did also indicate was that they have been told that they should, hold on until the official investigation is over. Then they can brief the media. But one of the things I picked up also before we came on air, still with my sources within the prison service, is that the team is actually arriving tomorrow,
right,
and not today.
Right.
And when they arrive, one of the things they will do first will be to touch base with the regional prison service, boss, before they proceed to meet other relevant stakeholders and proceed with the investigation.
All right, we'll leave it here then, and then get in touch with you when the team arrive, and then work starts on this. Abe Sorry is our Upper East regional correspondent, updating us on the latest in Bawku, the clashes that resulted in gunshot wounds to a prison officer. Now, security analyst Dr. Bonaa joins me live as we look at how this brawl could trigger existing tension at Bawku. The regional minister has already assured that such disturbances will not happen in the future.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon, Dr. Bonaa. It's good to see you here on the pulse. Let me pick your initial comments on what happened on the 24th and the subsequent actions taken by the military. We are yet to hear them officially, but the prison service says that they want to investigate this to get to the bottom of it. But your initial reaction to the issues in Bawku regarding the military and the prison officers?
Well, I would say it's unfortunate. It shouldn't have happened. We have seen not once, not twice. We've seen, sister security agents fighting among themselves in the full glare of the public. We've seen it in various locations. Either is between the military and the police, or sometimes immigration. We've had, and now we now have this incident that took place in Bawku. But anyone who works within the security space will tell you that this incident that happened in Bawku was actually waiting to happen. because there has been deep suspicion among the security officials. Sometimes when persons are arrested, it's difficult to hand over those persons sometimes to the relevant authorities, i.e. the Ghana Police Service.
Why is it
and
so?
You can see.
Why is it so?
Well, because then the issue is that we hear that when some people who are suspected to miscreants are arrested and probably taken to Tamale or taken to the High Court in either Tamale or Bolga for to be prosecuted within the court space. Sometimes they are granted bail, and once they are granted bail, the next day such persons re-enter the town and there's pomp and pageantry to welcome them. And so it's become difficult because then there are some of the security agents. I mean, the suspicion is that once we arrest and these persons come back, it means that there is that collusion to bring them back. But you can see from what your Albert Sorry narrated to you, if you ask me whether there will be anything coming out of these investigations, I will tell you no.
You have absolutely no faith in this yet to start investigation.
I have absolutely no faith in the investigations because which power has the Ghana Prison Service? What power do they have apart from conducting their own internal investigations? They can only invite their own personnel to interrogate them with regards to what took place on this day.
There's somebody much higher or somebody different from the prison service should rather be the one to lead it.
No, it's not about the prison service. Those who have power to do these investigations is the Ghana Police Service.
Right.
And what happened is pure criminality. And because when you fight, you are supposed to be arrested and prosecuted before courts. And so mine is that if prison officers and soldiers get at each other and weapons are fired, and the prison, so as we are told, they are arriving tomorrow in the Upper East region. They will go to the regional, the regional prisons office, and then from there they will go to probably Bawku. So when they go to Bawku, are they now going to invite the military to come to the prisons camp where the fight started to interrogate them? You know that is not going to happen. But when
well, we're having difficulty with connection to Dr. Adams Bonaa. We will try and then,
can you hear me?
Yes, please go on. It's better now. Please go on.
Even within what do you call it? The protocol amongst the police and the soldiers and the rest, they would write to the military to release such and such and such a person to their outfit for further interrogations. What has happened? The prisons must conduct their own internal investigations. The military would have to also conduct their own internal investigations. But we need thorough investigations conducted by the Ghana Police Service. With the Ghana, because they are supposed to be doing that and they are supposed to be neutral amongst what has happened. But like I said, they have prosecutorial powers. And so if the prisons should do any investigations, and let's say without admitting that is how their report will be, they realize that one of their personnel was at fault or a military officer was at fault, are they now going to report the person to the police? So mine is that the process is that they do their internal investigations. The military would usually do their own the military, I mean, both of them have their own mechanism for internal investigations. But what happened was pure criminality. So you expect that there's someone up there should have, got the police to start investigations immediately, and not the prison's writing. I mean, the prison director is someone I know very well, but I think that they would have to relook at this because what the press release they've put out does not say anything whether they have made a formal report to the police.
Exactly the point I was coming to, that
they haven't done that.
Yes,
they are going to Bolga. They are going to Bawku. Do we have personnel from the CID headquarters or the Ghana Police headquarters going with them or going separately to go and conduct their own internal, their own investigation? I don't think so. So mine is that with this, it will be very difficult for the prisons to conduct investigations and end up saying that it is the military who are at fault.
Perhaps
I won't take that.
Perhaps what the prison service is trying to do is to go on a fact-finding mission. But I mean, of significant surprise is the silence of the police, even as of now. Today is the 27th. This matter happened 3 days ago, and we are yet to hear anything from the Ghana Police Service.
Well, so I am expecting the Ghana Police Service to probably let us also know what they are doing. But I am, surprised to hear that the prison service has come up with a release that they are going to Boga and to Bawku to go and investigate this. I rather want to see them telling us that they have actually informed the Ghana Police Service. Even though we all saw this in the full glare of the cameras and on the screens on social media, I would have wanted to say we have written to the Ghana Police Service, informing them what took place, because it took place within the confines of the prisons service in Bawku.
Absolutely.
So they would have to make a proper and formal complaint to the Ghana Police Service, telling them what they know, their initial report, what they hear, and asking the police to do that. The military, probably, because the military because they went there, so you want to say, were they the aggressors? It will be difficult to say they were the aggressors, but like I'm saying, I would want to see that the prisons, in fact, inviting the Ghana Police Service and informing them what actually they know and what they want them to do. But their fact-finding mission, whatever they go to do is to try and calm down nerves. Right. But the truth is that those going from Accra, they are not in Bawku. Those fighting are in Bawku. So when you do your fact findings and you leave, the next day, they are likely to fight again. And you have to go back. A permanent solution would be
I just
look for the corporates
exactly
and punish them.
Punish them. Great. On that point. But again, what does this tell about the level of cooperation among the security agencies operating in this conflict area? I mean, this could have been handled much, much better than, it was taken in Bawku, to the extent that, a rifle, or if you like, gun belonging to a military officer, in this case, as it's been alleged, went off, and somebody is injured in the process. Couldn't they have adopted a more civilized way of dealing with the matter at stake, rather than the resort that they adopted?
You don't walk around with your rifle on without the safety button, on. You want to, once you have your rifle and you have live rounds, whether live rounds or not, your safety button should be on. That way, you know that even if it drops, you are not going to have, live rounds getting fired. And so I wouldn't say, it was fired. The firing was not deliberate. Mine is that investigations would have led us to whether it was deliberate or not. But like you asked, it has to do with that deep mistrust amongst them. Once there is deep mistrust amongst them, chances are that these things would happen. And they would happen again and again and again. Some of us have asked for, probably, let's have a joint command center where you have all the security agencies working in Bawku.
Right.
If you have all of them, I'm not saying put all of them in a room, but you have a select, maybe 2 or 3 in the joint command center, so that they try, when there are issues, the joint command center will be the place for clearance. But unfortunately, you sometimes would go into, you sometimes would have news coming from Bawku that soldiers are on patrols. Legitimately, they are on patrols. But sometimes you would hear that, today the soldiers are on the side of this tribe. The tribe, this, even though it's a chieftaincy conflict, it's also one tribe against, it's become tribal.
There's also political influence in it.
Yes, so sometimes you have citizens of the area accusing the security agents of taking one side or the other. And sometimes some of the security officers, some of us who talk to them, they sometimes fall for some of these things and agree that maybe a certain officer has been brought there and he seems to be in bed with this tribe or the other.
Right.
And so mine is that in order to diffuse the tension and de-escalate, then let's have a small joint operation center amongst the officers, all of them, fire,
police, the military.
Yes, let's have a small joint command center where they would, where some of them will be put, so that when some of these things happen, as the soldiers went to these prisons here to try and attempt to arrest these people, and the prison officers refused, they would have called the joint command center to say, are you aware your colleagues are refusing us entry into the compound to arrest some, escapees? But when it happened, they quietly left and came back with a backup, as usually happens. And once they come with a backup, then you know that it's going to turn into something else.
I get it.
So as far as I'm concerned, I think proper investigations must be conducted. And I still call on the prison service, because their officers were attacked. They should make a formal complaint to the Ghana Police Service, inviting them to investigate this and let us know what actually happened, because there are different versions of this whole thing. Different versions.
And I'm
different
guessing that
versions. I have heard about 6-7 versions.
Right.
One has to do with some mobile phone. One has to do with someone who is, siding with a tribe. One prison officer who is, from one tribe. And I have a different version.
And then
in order to
get to the bottom of it, investigation will have to unravel all of these things.
Thank you.
Okay.
And you need the Ghana Police Service to do that, not the military.
Not the
Neither should it be the prison service. They can do their own internal investigations, but you need the Ghana Police Service, which is clothed with power, to do this, to do investigations and attempt to prosecute. To do that, even if they are not prosecuted, I believe they will do a better job than
the prison or the military.
The prison service and the military trying to do this. That will not work.
Thank you very much.
If that is not done, then we are likely to see another round of this maybe in the near future.
Always a pleasure speaking to you. Dr. Adams Bonaa is a security analyst, sharing his thoughts on this matter that is becoming very disturbing in the Bawku area. Now, the minister responsible for the Upper East region, Hafiz bin Salih, has assured that such disturbances will not happen in the future.
Well, yes, it's true. I have a master's in conflict management, but this is an issue that we have resolved. As and when conflicts come, we try as much as possible to resolve them. But my commitment is to ensure that in the first place, conflicts do not arise, so that we don't even have the opportunity to come to address them. There are certain teething issues that they put to the fore, and we're going to put our thoughts together and then try as much as possible to resolve all those issues. So I believe strongly that this is the last time we're going to see members of the security agencies having this sort of misunderstanding.
Okay. This particular incident has actually brought fear and anxiety among the residents, though they are already living in a volatile situation, but this one also sparked another fear and anxiety. What message do you have for the residents?
Yes, as I told you, we've met them, we've met the commanders, we've met the troops. Everything has been resolved. So the assurance is that the people of this area will continue to be protected by these people. What we all need to do is to be law-abiding. There are certain issues that we are implementing as a result of the situation we find in Bawku. So the people of this area must also be law-abiding, so that the troops protect them against not only what is happening there, but insurgents. This is a border community, people who are exhibiting mayhem in our neighboring countries, want to infiltrate so that they can also have access to our region. Don't forget that this region has huge deposits of gold. So whilst we allow these extremists to infiltrate, they will want to even go beyond Bawku so that they can have access to gold, so that they can fund their activities. So we need to give the military, the police, and all the security agencies the needed peace of mind, so that they can ensure that our borders are safe, so that the people of this area and indeed the entire country will be safe. So that is what I have.
Right, this is a pause here on Joy News with me, Elton Brobe from Bawku. Let's deal with a matter that is pending and is of national interest. Now, it's taken beyond the borders of Ghana and into the European Union Parliament. Now, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell Fontelles is skeptical about Ghana's anti-LGBTQ bill passed by Parliament will become law as he expresses confidence President Akufo-Addo will stick to his commitment to human rights. The bill, which is being caught in a web of political and legal dispute, is yet to reach the desk of the president as cases filed against its constitutionality goes through the court. In a speech delivered in the European Union's Parliament, Joseph Borrell Fontelles says human rights will prevail. EU Commissioner Vicentos Sitetovis read a speech on her behalf.
Ghana is a solid democracy and anchor of regional stability, has a strong record in terms of protecting human rights throughout its laws and through its practice. Significant steps have been taken in this area. See, for example, Ghana's decision of last year to take steps towards abolishing death penalty. However, challenges remain notably in the area of the protection of sexual minorities. The recent passing in Parliament of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Act, more commonly referred to as the anti-LGBTIQ bill, is an issue of concern. In Ghana, as it is in the case in any other country on the continent and in the world, in its current form, the bill requires close review in light of Ghana's international and constitutional human rights commitments. The constitutionality of the bill has been challenged and it is currently scrutinized by the Supreme Court. It's also to be noted that the bill also still requires presidential assent to enter into force. The President has publicly reiterated his commitment on the respect of human rights and has expressed his concern to seeing a backsliding on human rights in the event of adoption of the bill. Senior members of the Ghanaian government have also highlighted the bill's potential financial consequences and losses for the 2024 budget. We are therefore confident that Ghana will stand firm in the commitments it has made on national and international human rights. The EU, together with member states, have followed the matter closely since its introduction in 2021. Our position and concerns on the matter are well known and regularly communicated. Ghana has a pivotal role in ensuring regional stability and an increasingly volatile region marked by spillover of insecurity from the Sahel to the Gulf of Guinea countries. The European Union has succeeded in further deepening its partnership with Ghana as it evolved from a strictly developmental partnership to a more political one that is fit to face regional political and security challenges. It is therefore of utmost importance that we remain close and build upon Ghana and use already strong partnership to defend our common values.
Right, so how are proponents of the bill reacting to this latest, addition to the debate that we've been having as we all await the Supreme Court to clear the way for President Akufo to receive the bill? Emmanuel Bejra is a member of Parliament for Ho West and one of the sponsors of the bill, and he joins me via Zoom. Honorable Bejra, you're welcome to the pause.
Very much, Alvin, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers and listeners.
Yes, good afternoon. So clearly, the opposition is now going beyond the borders of Ghana. Now, the bill is being described as, an obstacle to the respect of human rights, especially in the context of people who have some sexual orientation, which is not consistent with what Parliament passed. First, your initial reaction to what the EU Parliament, the position they've taken on this bill.
Well, thank you once again. That is the EU Parliament. That's not the Parliament of Ghana. Parliament of Ghana has taken its decision. Other parliament can decide to say whatever they want to say. Every right a parliament for the European Union, so whatever they want to say. In that case, we have passed our bill and we are waiting for the president to assent to it. The turn of events now, Elton, is shocking to all of us. For a member of European Parliament to categorically say that the president will not assent to the bill is a shock to some of us, because even though we know that the president is playing pussyfooty with the bill by whatever he's doing through the court system, we did not expect that the president will take it further by engaging the European Union and giving them assurance that he was not going to sign to the bill. It is shocking to all of us. But we as Ghanaians have maintained the fact that this has nothing to do with human rights or any of the fundamental human rights as people are made to believe. We've said over and over that this is a sexual preference by individuals. And that sexual preference, as we all know, is we are outlawing it. And that if you are caught doing it, the law will take its full course with you. We are not saying, the bill is not saying that you should not, two adults, consenting adults could not do it. We are saying when you are caught, the bill will take its full pound of flesh out of it. And so for us to hear from European Parliament that the senior politicians or senior government official have intimated, has informed them that the bill will not be assented to by the president, shows as a mark of, mark of integrity, as it were, in the face of it. That the person we all voted for to become the president of Ghana, who we all believe that he will go by the dictates of Parliament, and that if he has any problem, he will bring the bill back to us. He's gone ahead to inform the international community that he was not going to sign. This shows how insincere our president is. This shows how dishonest the president of the republic is. This shows how the kind of person we have voted for into political office. But
Honorable, this is not coming from the president. The comments is coming from a representative at the European Union Parliament. So you cannot really hold the president 100% to say that he's reported to them that what he intends doing. The fact of the matter is that there are aspects of this case in court. The European Union presenter made mention of the fact that he understands President Akufo-Addo is a human rights activist. And in that broader context of this bill, he expects him to uphold his respect for the rights of individuals, regardless of their sexual preference, and to stick with that particular position.
Well, Elton, I've been to your studio several times, and I've informed you that when the bill, when in the making of the bill, the process, we have the chief advisor, legal advisor to the president, being the attorney general, a meeting with us, the sponsors, as well as the committee that was working on the bill. Things that he thinks were not in consonance with the Constitution of Ghana, that infringes on human rights. He has pointed out to us. Now, the president has not seen the final draft or the final bill that was passed. If the president is sincere and has seen the final draft of the bill, he would have assented to it, because he doesn't want to assent to it. And in my understanding, he has already made commitment to our partners, that's been the European Union. He has convinced them that he was not going. That's why the gentleman there, who is a rapporteur or being a member of parliament in the European Union in charge of human rights, will say that senior public official who is more senior than the president. And so, yes, he has even described him as a human rights lawyer. Yes, if indeed he's a human rights lawyer, the best for him as a president to do, Elton, was for him to receive the bill, go through it, and then tell us that this and that portion are not in consonance with our law, are not in consonance with the human rights tenets that we have espoused and that I have given my commitment to. He hasn't seen the bill. If you have seen the initial bill, which your Attorney General has come to us and we have fleshed it out, coming out the new bill, this president should have assented to it. You would have been the first person to have assented to it. Today he said this, meeting the the Anglican bishop, and said, not under my word. Then tomorrow he will meet the Vice President of the United States and said that he will not assent to, and that there are few opposition members of parliament who brought this. This alone tells you that the president is not sincere and is dealing with Ghanaians.
But again, on the EU's position that they've taken, I mean, you serve in Ghana's parliament. Now they've taken a matter to their parliament and discussing it. I'm looking at the sovereign will of the republic, and whether in this contest you think that it's been abused in the way the EU is going about an internal matter undertaken by the representatives of the people in the Republic of Ghana?
I think it's going beyond the shores of Ghana, as you have mentioned, that some group of people want to still colonize us through this means of discussing issues that borders of our culture, our sensitivity, and our pride. Now, if that is what we believe in as Ghanaians, that we do not want this in the country, some other countries have already passed it, like Uganda has passed it. Just as we all know, on the 6th of March, on the 5th of March, before the 6th of March, Uganda has received its final tranche of the World Bank financing. Now, if Uganda has received its tranche of the final, financing that they're looking for from the World Bank, what are we afraid of? The European Union has their own parliament. That is their parliament. They have no jurisdiction over the Ghanaian parliament. Like you mentioned, Ghanaian parliament is a sovereign parliament, and we stand by whatever we are doing here. They have nothing to do with whatever we believe in. If European Union believes that they can also pass a bill in any part of Europe that a man can marry 2 women, then we will also accept that. Since they will not accept this, which we believe in as polygamous marriage in Africa, we also not agree that a man should marry a man or a man should marry an animal. I mean, we don't believe in it. We don't see it as part of our culture, and therefore will not accept it.
Nevertheless, they say that this may create issues for the country going forward. Issues of cohesion, issues of unity, issues of trade, issues of collaboration. And we are not hearing this for the first time. The U.S. ambassador to Ghana, she's made it clear that promoting Ghana with the passage of this bill may be difficult for her. How much in terms of pressure does this put on our president and our government as they look forward to the Supreme Court decision and to possibly consider whether to append the signature or send the thing back to Parliament with reservations why he may not be able to do so?
When we all say Akufo-Addo is his own man and that he will not be woodwind into believing or doing anything that he doesn't believe in. And so when he came out to say that, yes, indeed, he's not going to allow same-sex marriage in Ghana under his words, we all believed him. We thought that he was singing from the same hymn, only for him to make a U-turn, for him to be controlled and manipulated by foreign entities and foreign partners. It shows clearly that he's not his own man. Akufo-Addo, I can tell you on authority, that is not his own man. He had a meeting 3 days ago with all leaders, that's the coalition that push us. Ask the coalition, what did he tell the coalition people? If Akufo-Addo is genuine and sincere, he should be able to tell Ghanaians, should be able to come out to tell Ghanaians that this is my stand on it. Because he's not sincere as a president, that's why he cannot come out to say whatever he wants to say. He made the coalition that supported the bill, that brought the bill to us to sponsor. What did he tell them? He should tell Ghanaians what he told them.
But finally, before I let you go, how frustrated must you be after spending years to put together this, convince members of parliament to back it, and now we are at a standstill?
Well, like I said, it's not, insincerity with the president. But we still have hope in our judiciary that just as they have ruled that you cannot hold any of the government institution like parliament not to do its work, we also believe that since the bill has not gotten to the president, the Supreme Court will also come out with a ruling that you cannot hold the president using the judicial system.
Right. My
plea is that the judiciary or the Supreme Court will work, quickly on this and get the bill passed signed before we resume Parliament next month.
Is there any indication when you are coming back to the House?
Well, the Speaker is supposed to, to
do the recall.
Recall us, and so we are waiting for the Speaker to recall us. But we've been told that middle of May will be recalled, so we are expecting the recall message from the Speaker. Right. Honourable Emmanuel Bejura is the Member of Parliament for Ho West and key sponsor
of the anti-LGBTQ bill that has been passed in Parliament, but yet to be ascended to by President Akufo-Addo, because there's a case in court that is asking some questions, and the Supreme Court will now have to deal with this matter. Until that is done, the bill is at a standstill between the Supreme Court and the Jubilee House. Until that is done, that is the situation of the bill. Now, let me take you to the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, because it's been 25 years of quintessential rulership, peacemaking, and amnesty to Asanteman and beyond, as Otumfuo was set to take the second marks Silver Jubilee as the 16th occupant of the Golden Stool. We are live at Manhyia Palace as the King celebrates today with a non-denominational Thanksgiving service. But let's first listen to a report on the Asantehene hosting of ethnic groups from across Ghana and West Africa as part of, week-long activities celebrating 25 years on the Golden Stool. Emmanuel Bright Kweku has more from Kumasi.
The colorful Durbar at the Manhyia Palace attracted people from diverse backgrounds to experience the beauty of culture and tradition. The Asantehene received traditional leaders from across Ghana and other royals in the West African sub-region at a special Ewuku Day. Also gracing the festival were royal functionaries and representatives of ethnic groups living in Asanteman, including the Mosi, Kusasi, Kasinananka, Fanti, Anglo, Frafra, Nzima, and Dagumba. The event served as a platform for the expression of gratitude to these groups for their long-standing relationship with Asanteman. Otumfuo Setutu spoke about the essence of the special Ewuku Day.
Today's gathering is to showcase that the Ashantis are tolerant and love every human being. We've lived with a lot of people. Today, we are all living together here in the region. We have the Ewes, Nzemas, and houses.
Some royals and representatives of Zongo communities spoke to Joy News.
We in the Zongo communities always pay homage to the king. Today is a special day for all of us. Mosis and Asantis are like brothers. We came to support the Asantehene.
Meanwhile, Chieftaincy Minister Stephen Asamoah Boateng spoke about the need to empower traditional leaders to drive development.
As a show of support and as means of ensuring sustainable financing for our chiefs and traditional rulers, government is in the process of establishing the Chieftaincy Development Fund to enable the chiefs and our traditional rulers play their roles as leaders in our community.
The special Ewuku Day was part of activities commemorating the Asantehene Silver Jubilee on the Golden Stool. Joseph Oben's reports for Joy News.
So we'll say at the Manhyia Palace, where my colleague Emmanuel Bright Kweku joins me live from the palace with the very latest, where the Asantehene is marking the day with a non-denominational Thanksgiving service. Emmanuel, how is the event unfolding at Manhyia Palace? The place must be all agog with excitement.
26, 1999, and today marks exactly 25 years after he ascended the throne. And as you can see in your shots, we are having the Otumfuo come out after this particular Thanksgiving service. The Asante flag being hoisted higher, and we have the trumpeters, the royal trumpeters, hailing the king for his unparalleled leadership in Asanteman. The Asante Hene, in his 25 years as the king of Ashanti, has not only been a true leader, but also a beacon of rulership that encompasses peace for the people of Ashanti and beyond. And that is the Asante Hene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, otherwise known as Nana Berima Kokudia. Today we've had some members of the clergy come and pray for the king, and in his submission he charged the clergy for their continuous prayers to ensure that he as a king will continue to reign and rule Ashantis with utmost dignity, honesty and truthfulness. And so that has been the Asante Hene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. I'm leaving this place. That is the non-denominational Thanksgiving service held for him today. We'll try and engage with some members of the clergy and find out what they make of the leadership of Asante Hene so far since 1999. Let me quickly interact with. Say good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Say, I want to find out from you. Asante Hene has been on the throne for 25 years. What do you make of his leadership?
Superb. He's a great king, very wise king. He's a lover of all, and we appreciate him a lot. We wish him God's blessings and long life. Okay. Amen.
Amen. I think he charged the clergy to continuously pray for him. What are you going to say to the king right after here? Are you going to continue praying for him?
I'll continue to pray for him. In fact, when he was being installed, okay, I was there. I prayed for him, and I still pray for him because God has been faithful to us. He has been faithful to what he asked for. So we wish him a long life and prosperity. We wish Santiman long life and prosperity. God bless us all. God bless us all. Amen.
Okay, so I have been speaking with Archbishop S.R. Adai of the Anglican Church, the Catholic, of Shiloh United Church. So I've been speaking with Archbishop S.R. Adai. We'll quickly interact with more of the members of the clergy. We've had the Methodist Church of Ghana come here. In fact, the entire Kumasi Council of Churches have been here to pray for the king and also celebrate him for his rulership. Sir, let me quickly find out from you. You are also of which? Okay, your senior is here. Sir. Okay, sure, no problem. Let me find out from you. Which church are you coming from?
I'm from the Presbyterian Church of Ghana.
Presbyterian Church of Ghana, and we want to find out what do you make of the leadership of the king?
Yeah, as we've observed for the past years, it's been a leadership of inspiration, development. He's brought all of us as Anteman and the entire nation together. The sense of leadership has brought peace to Ghana and also to other tribes, and as we've all observed. So it is an inspiration to all of us as pastors and leaders that when getting the such opportunity, we should also work hard to bring peace and development to our people. Thank you.
All right, sure. Thank you very much, sir. And he is a member of the clergy at the Presbyterian Church. We have also the former Archbishop of the Methodist Church Ghana, the Kumasi Diocese, Reverend Kantanka. Past Bishop of of the Methodist Church of the Kumasi Diocese. Say, welcome to Joy News.
Thank you.
So, I want to find out. I know you have been in Kumasi. What do you make of the King's leadership?
Yeah, I think it's been leadership that everybody sees it. He has done very well. Where do I say?
Okay, you can talk.
My thoughts are that he has done very well. He has been forthright. He has begun some major projects. He hasn't finished yet, but at least there's something to show that he has been a good leader. We are grateful.
All right, sure. Thank you very much. So That has been Reverend Kantanka. He was a past Kumasi Diocese Bishop for the Methodist Church of Ghana. We'll try and engage more with the clergy over here, and even anyone at all that can share. Some of the royals have also been here, and they have been telling us how they feel about the king. He has led an exemplary life for the people here. He has ruled. His unparalleled leadership has been one that is inspiring to many people over here in the Ashanti region. And so you have been hearing some of the thoughts from people, exciting thoughts. They have been sharing with us with how happy they are that the king has been able to rule the Ashanti kingdom for more than 25 years now. Okay, Nana. Okay, Nana. Let's interact. What do you make of the king? But first of all, welcome to join us. We want to find out which chief are you? Which chief?
I'm the Sweduhine of Kumasi. Yes. Formerly it was Kojokrum, but now it's Sweduhine.
But what do you make of the leadership of Asante Hine?
It's super excellent. It's super excellent. Since its stewardship way back 1999 up to today, he has been exceptional. Very humble, with good judgment, and also on the funny side, a good sense of humor. He's been a very great chief, a very great king, and we are all grateful to be his servants and subjects.
During his submission, he charged the king, his subjects, to continuously help him in ruling the Ashanti region. What can you say about this? During his submission, he said that he wants the subjects, that's the traditional leaders, to also help him in ruling the kingdom. What do you have saying about it?
That is how it's supposed to be. We are supposed to work towards his ideas, his leadership. We are an exemplary of what he is, and we are supposed to lead that life for the rest of the citizenry to see that he is a great king as such. And we are also humbled to be his servants, and we work diligently to serve him to make his kingship successful.
All right, sure. So that has also been a ruler here in the Ashanti region. We'll try and engage more with the traditional leaders and find out how they have been working with the king, Otumfuo Osei-Tutu, and find out how they feel about his rulership. We will interact with Bantamahini. Nana Bantamahini, we want to interact with you.
Too tight.
Just a short word with us. What do you find about Otumfuo's leadership? What do you make of his leadership?
We haven't seen it before, nothing like that before.
So going forward, what will be your prayers for him?
That he lives to be about 150.
Wow.
So that he will always be there to take care of us.
All right, so thank you very much. That's Nana Bantamahini and Bafra Mankwetia, the Sith, interacting with us. We'll try and engage a lot more with the royals and also traditional leaders over here and find out what they generally have to make of Otumfuo's rulership. As Nana, I can see you want to speak with us. What do you make of Otumfuo's rulership? Okay, also man. It's what saying.
You say a job okay say pa. I say we so abie asanteman ani. Am nipa nyina hu. We ase nyina so hu. Otumfuo abie asanteman ni pa. Edamasomase media.
All right, sure. Thank you very much. So he tells us that he is a subject or a subordinate of the Bantamahini and has been happy that Otumfuo has ruled this kingdom for so long. And let me help you understand the activities that has happened over.
Right, this is the pulse here on Joy News, and that was live pictures from the Manhyia Palace, where an interdenominational church activity took place to mark the 25th anniversary of the installment of the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II. The Durbar itself will come off in May to coincide with the birthday of the Asante. We'll take a short break. When we return, I'll take you to the election headquarters. Welcome back to the Pulse here on Joy News, and now let me take you to the election headquarters, brought to you by Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity, CIMA, that's the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, AICP and CIMA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, and of course, the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness, and Beauty. Now let's go to Adjosso, because on Tuesday there was going to be a parliamentary by-election there. And the campaign team for the independent candidate for the upcoming Adjosso by-election, Kwabena Owusu Aduomi, says the electorates are ready to defend the ballots. The attempt of the former MP, who served ties with the MPP to stage a comeback, threatens the party's hold of the constituency. His team has alleged the MPP is hatching a plan to win the election through dubious means. Isaac Boafo is campaign coordinator for the Kwabena Owusu Aduomi team.
Of the press. We have convened this morning to address the alarming and reckless behavior exhibited by Chairman Wuntumi, the NPP, and certain government officials leading up to the Adjosso by-election. It is with grave concern that we bring to light the nefarious schemes concocted by the NPP in their bid to manipulate Tuesday's by-election. Among the diabolic plans orchestrated by the NPP are as follows. 1. Ballot box stuffing, a blatant attempt to undermine the integrity of the electoral process. 2. Allegations of bribing Electoral Commission officials to compromise on voting day, a despicable act that strikes at the heart of democracy. 3. Utilization of military personnel to intimidate strongholds of Honorable Kwabena Owusu Aduomi. A clear abuse of power aimed at suppressing the will of the people. 4. Deployment of police officers from different regions to seize control of ballot boxes, a flagrant violation of electoral norms. 5. Threats of power outages during vote counting, a cowardly tactic to sow confusion and undermine transparency. 6. Utilization of metro men to forcibly snatch ballot boxes from the new sites and smaller towns, a brazen assault on the sanctity of the electoral process. 7. Transporting over 500 SHS students to vote in an attempt to manipulate the outcome of the election, a shameful exploitation of young voters. 8. Admission by NPP leadership at a critical meeting of their intention to resort to electoral fraud, demonstrating a blatant disregard for democratic principles. 9. Unfounded attempts to tag Honorable Owusu Aduomi as an NDC sympathizer to incite discord among constituents, a baseless and malicious tactic. We issue a stern warning to the NPP that we will fiercely defend our ballots with every fiber of our being. Despite the desperate attempts to subvert the democratic process, Adjosso will stand firm and resolute on Tuesday. Furthermore, we condemn in the strongest terms the wasteful expenditure of state resources for vote buying. It is reprehensible that such resources are not allocated to address the pressing challenges facing our communities. Adjosso will make a resounding statement on Tuesday, reaffirming our commitment to democracy and justice. NPP knows that their candidate stands no chance in this by-election, and for which reason they have resorted to telling wicked lies and digging dirt on Honorable Kwabena Owusu Aduomi. The pinnacle of deceitfulness lies in the NPP's audacious claim that the Bonaa Market project, personally financed by Honorable Owusu Aduomi, is somehow a middle belt development project. Let us set the record straight. Middle belt market projects are not under the purview of members of parliament. They are typically awarded to contractors through formal procurement processes. It is essential to note that when Honorable Owusu Aduomi concluded his tenure in Parliament, the Bonaa Market project was merely at its foundation stage. However, his unwavering dedication to the welfare of his constituents compelled him to allocate substantial financial resources towards its completion. To insinuate that this project falls under the umbrella of Middle Belt Development Project is not only misleading, but a deliberate attempt to diminish Honorable Owusu Aduomi's significant contribution to the community. It is a disservice to the constituents of Bonaa and Ejusuman and the blatant distortion of the truth. The facts speak for themselves. Honorable Owusu Aduomi's personal investment and tireless.
Of course, there's been a reaction from the MPP. Communications Director Richard Anyagba has been responding to these allegations on election brief.
To be honest with you, I've been in the constituency the past 1 week. We've been working there late at night, going back and forth, trying to engage people, let them understand why they should vote for the New Patriotic Party. There isn't any plan that I am aware of or that has been hatched by anyone to rig the elections. I'm not sure where, I don't know who spoke, if it's the former MP who spoke or his representative, but
it's his coordinator, his campaign coordinator.
It's a blatant falsehood. What they are doing in the constituency, I think, is most repugnant. They are going around deceiving people and misrepresenting themselves as MPP. I hear what they are doing in the constituency because we're doing a lot of house-to-house. People tell us, oh, they came here. Yesterday, typically, a whole community we went to in Bonaa, people were telling us they'll come here and tell them that, oh, they should vote for Aduomi, that the vote will translate to MPP. This deceit are things that are going around the constituency peddling. So for him to mount a platform for his people to carry on in this manner, for me, is most unfortunate and undeserving of a former MP on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. I think that is most unfortunate. There is no such thing. He is not provided to you or to the press when he spoke to them any evidence whatsoever to indicate what he's saying. That will stuff the ballot box, will use military, complete falsehood was what he was peddling. I think that is a preemptive conversation he wants to institute and then to make himself relevant as if he's doing anything in the constituency. Everything I have seen him do, and I'm telling you this because I am on the ground. I'm not just walking about on the radio station. I'm going door to door and talking to people.
And of course, we can now move away from the election headquarters because Ghana is spearheading a bold initiative to tackle global plastic pollution by proposing a global pollution levy on polymer production. An estimated 86% of Ghana's waste plastic load is disposed of in not a good way, resulting in plastic clogging upstream drain waters, rivers and streams, and causing floods like the infamous June 3rd disaster. The innovative approach, which seeks to hold manufacturers accountable for the waste generated by their product, is currently being advocated by experts from the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation at the ongoing Intergovernmental Negotiation Conference on Plastic Pollution, including the marine sector in Ottawa, Canada, convened by the United Nations Environment Programme. There is more in this report.
Plastic waste is a major problem in Ghana, with blocked drainage systems leading to flooding. According to the United Nations Environment Programme, an estimated 86% of Ghana's waste plastic load is improperly disposed of, resulting in plastics clogging up storm water drains, rivers and streams and more. But how can this change for the country to benefit from plastics? The director for the Institute of Applied Sciences and Technology at the University of Ghana, Professor David Dodu Ahin, says more people have to be trained on how to turn the plastics into profitable ventures.
We are having a partnership with the Europe Recyclers through a project by the European Union called the Horizon 2020. And the partners are from Finland, Netherlands, we have Belgium, and industry players in Europe who are into the European recycling. Realize that this is an international problem. The plastic waste is not only in Ghana. We also have similar situations across the world. The bigger part is it's entering into our oceans, and sometimes it enters into the food chain. Our fisher folks will go to fishing, and sometimes the net, instead of getting fish, they are getting a big catch of plastics. So what is our contribution to this? Our contribution is finding lasting solutions to this in another way and incentivizing the people to collect these plastics, because when you collect the plastics and you are able to get some money out of it, what we call the pickers, they get it, we weigh, then we get money out of it. We will encourage people to do that.
Professor of Materials and Chemistry at the University of Eastern Finland, Jekko J. Saranin, stressed the need for collaboration between Ghana and other countries in addressing plastic waste. He said the dual nature of plastic as both useful and environmentally hazardous calls for an urgent need to mitigate its harmful impact.
Our mission here in Ghana is to strengthen the collaboration between our university and the University of Ghana, and then also learn from each side what are the best ways to treat plastics. I think it's a valuable material to be reused in similar applications, so we shouldn't be wasting precious materials, and also we shouldn't be doing that for the environment. Plastics is a marvelous material. The main reason why plastics are used so widely is their durability, and that's the reason that they are so good in the applications in which we use them. For example, if you have an artificial hip joint, then the bowl will be made from plastic, and it functions really well. But at the other side of the coin is that we have the durability is a problem if the plastic ends up in environment, in the place where it should not be, for example in the oceans. So it's people should not be throwing plastics away in the environment, but it should be collected and reused to guarantee a better future for all of us.
Waste Segregation Officer at Jekora Ventures, Budu Kumoji, called on the government to make waste sorted a policy for waste management companies.
So when you segregate your waste at source, you are able to add more value to the materials. So waste, or there's a saying by Zimmerman that says resources are not, they become. So what you declare waste is what is waste. So if you don't declare anything waste, it is not waste. So we are encouraging that plastic materials, especially for purposes of this program, plastic materials should be sorted at source. At the point of generation, do not lump it up with all other waste materials. Keep it separately. One important thing as well is there's no policy that says that people should segregate their waste. So even in some areas where we do not operate, you get individuals who have probably lived outside the country and are used to such systems. They segregate their waste, but the waste management company that is accredited to service them does not have these services. So they separate it, but then when the company comes to collect, they lump everything up, and that's a waste of effort. So over time, they stop it altogether. So we are suggesting or recommending that a policy should be made such that every waste management company would use this approach, and it would go a long way to help us as a nation.
So there's an international conference ongoing, and Samuel Mbura joins me live from Canada, where he's attending the 4th session of the UNEP Intergovernmental Negotiation Conference on Plastic Pollution. Mbura, you're welcome to the post. So tell me more about this conference on plastic pollution.
So every member state of the United Nations has a representative here in Canada for this all-important INC4. They've had previous sessions starting from Uruguay to Kenya and Paris, and this is the 4th session. The main reason for this, world delegation and in the deliberation has to do with the fact that they are looking at a legally binding document on the usage and the disposal as well as management of plastic around the world. We know that per the estimates from the UN environmental program, over 80% of plastic generated annually goes directly into the water bodies, exposing human lives and aquatic lives to danger. It is on the back of this that the United Nations environmental program is bringing all these stakeholders together to look at the legally binding document so that at least they'll be able to come out with a treaty so that every member state would sign on to it. So in this case, they are looking at the entire life cycle of plastic, right from the extraction and making them monomers to polymerizing the materials, which the end product will be plastic and how it will be managed. We know the situation in Ghana is quite damning, that we know the infamous June 3 disaster, according to research, was linked to the choked drains of the Odo River and other water bodies in the country or in the national capital that led to that awkward scene that we witnessed some time ago, the flooding and other issues as well. So basically, this conference looks at a global instrument that is legally binding, or that will be legally binding on all member states of the United Nations to sign to as a treaty, like other treaties that have been signed on other aspects of managing the environment as well as the economy and other thematic areas. So as we speak, this is the day 3 of the negotiation, and I must say that so far every country has come with its proposal. Ghana is here with a proposal, and the proposal is quite simple. They are requesting or demanding and pushing forward a levy on plastic. And this levy will start from the upstream. The upstream is where they do the production, conversion, and extraction of the raw materials of plastic is where they are asking for the levy to start. So that at least, aside the fact that it will help in reducing the plastic situation across the world, it will also generate funds for each member state to access and then manage plastics across the globe. So at the moment, there have been sessions upon sessions, but it is not wholly accepted yet. Within the African bloc, there are convergence and divergence. People are having divergent views about it. Other countries are also supporting. For instance, if you look at Egypt and some countries in North Africa and South Africa, as well as Uganda, they are kicking against it because they want a clear definition of the whole life cycle of plastic, because these are countries that produce heavily plastic material. So they are looking at the economic base of it. So if you are saying that let's stop plastic or eradicate plastic, entirely, what becomes of such economy? So at the moment, the Ghanaian delegation is trying to see how they can court support from some of the African countries that are against it. So they will have a unanimous view so that they can present before the negotiation, so that at the end, this will be the stand of Africa going forward into the global negotiation on this INC4.
Right. So, Mbura, I just want to find out the strategy that the international body is seeking to adopt so that they can have this decision adopted by the member countries, knowing very well that every country has its own sovereign laws and wills, and adaptation now becomes an issue. What is the strategy that they are adopting or they are working towards to get everybody on board so that this matter is dealt with?
Well, so Elton, that is why they are here. They need to get to a consensus. They have a team of legal brains across the world who are looking critically at this thing. So they are looking at it comprehensively, how they can have that legally binding. And that's why the emphasis is on the international legally binding documents. We've had previous treaties signed on other thematic areas in which we can make reference to. So this one is not a departure from the previous treaties that have been signed in other thematic areas. So they're looking at how they can bring all the member countries or states together so that they'll look at their local laws and feature that into the international perspective. Then they can have this internationally legally binding document. So they don't want to impose it, but to get consensus, get to a consensus or a win-win situation on how this can be accepted wholly as a global document, and each member country would sign to this treaty without any resistance.
And you will say that there is overwhelming support for the proposal?
Yes, I must say, but just a few countries within the African bloc. I mentioned of the North Africa. We have some kind like Algeria is strongly against it. Uganda is also against it. South Africa is against it.
And their reasons are what?
Yeah, so I indicated that the reason for they kicking against it because they have factories who produce plastics in their economy. So it's basically economic reason they are kicking against it. So they are looking at the sustainable alternative in case the UN or the proposal by Ghana comes into being. So that their factories or manufacturing companies there will not cripple, in which at the end their companies or their economy would be affected. So their reason is basically economic. But I must say it's just a minority of them. But a lot of people or other countries are strongly in support of Ghana, but they want clarity as well. So from here, they'll move it to the next stage where other countries in Europe, Asia, and all that also share their thoughts about this proposal as well.
And briefly, Ghana's position is to impose levy on the manufacturing of plastic. Is that Ghana's proposal right now?
So Ghana's proposal is a levy, a plastic pollution levy on polymers. So if you say polymer, the raw material up from the upstream. So the raw material which they use to produce plastic is where they are starting from. So it trickles down from upstream to downstream.
And when is the conference ending?
So the conference is scheduled to end on the 29th of this month of April, and next in November they will have the INC 5 where they will have the document being ratified after a consensus is built for all member stations to sign to this treaty.
All right, thank you very much, and take care of yourself in Canada. Samuel Mbura is a multimedia journalist. Now, let me bring in the programs manager of Green Africa Youth Organization, and they also have some interest on this matter. Desmond Alolia. Mr. Alolia, you're welcome to the Pulse here on Joy News.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right, so from your perspective as an industry player, what do you make of this plastic pollution fee on polymer production that's been proposed by the Ghanaian delegation at this ongoing conference?
Yeah, I think that that's a very bold step and a very good one, because my organization have been looking at the business aspect of plastics in the country. And at the moment, in Accra alone, we're collecting about 12 tons of plastics every month. And that's a huge amount of plastics. But look at the situation, it's still looking the same way. And we're looking at how do you make money? How do you create more jobs, employ more and more young people, especially, and women who are in the forefront of picking waste, reclaiming and recovery. And how do you still make money when you recycle these things after paying at every stage? So levying these companies, levying the importers, levying those who manufacture will help us to be able to establish material recovery facilities or buyback centers so that we can have easy access to these things in larger volumes.
But you do understand me, or you do appreciate the fact that this discussion didn't start today. We've been on the discussion for years, 10, 20 years. And in all these years that we've had this discussion, we've looked at the impact of plastic on the environment, yet we have failed to come to a decision on the way forward once and for all. Is it lack of political will or economic reasons that is making it so difficult to come to a decision as to the way forward in dealing with plastics in the country?
Yeah, thank you. I would say it is a mixture of both because the political will is number one. You need a nation, a government, and regulatory bodies that are able to stamp their feet on the ground and say that, hey, we don't want these problematic plastics, for example, the ones that do not have value for recycling companies in our country, because locally we cannot make business out of it. And then at the same time, you also need some sort of international instrument, for example, what they are negotiating, that you can always reference. Because without some reference point, it becomes difficult for a country, a single country, to be able to stand up with the industry. Mind you, the industry players are also really influential in political decision-making processes. So both sides plays a major role in the success of this.
And yesterday, for example, one of my colleagues, Masol Agbagba, did a story on field exhibition here in the Greater Accra region where he visited a coastal community. Now, the fisher folks are complaining that now when they go to the sea, they catch more plastic than fish. So their economic gains is dwindling. But beyond the fact that they face economic consequences, the danger to the environment and the Ghanaian, if this matter is not dealt with, going for, let's say, for the next 5 or 10 years, what danger are we likely to be in if we don't take a decisive decision today?
Yeah, thank you so much. So you realize that we have a very long stretch coast, all the way from Keita, we have the coast to Accra, and then to the central region, we have a long coast. Now, what's happening is that the pileup is going to support in what we are recording in the country in terms of the flooding and urban heat waves that we are recording because of extreme temperatures. Now, the ocean might be seen as a separated entity, but every interaction that you have on the ocean is not only preventing you to have fishes, like you are saying, but it's also now having a compounding impact on the heat that we are recording, because when we actually have those heavy flooding, it doesn't end on bringing on board some of these things into the community, but it comes along with a lot of pathogens. It comes along with also a lot of disease-causing mechanisms, organisms that are going to dwindle the health of your population. Beyond that, we also now have, to the extreme of it, some of these plastics going all the way to the upper regions where farming is the bedrock. And so imagine that you are not able to actually have your food as quality as it is. In Kenya, for example, they are complaining of having particles of plastics in tea. So you can imagine what we will be complaining of, maize, we will be complaining of cassava and yam and what have you. And that has a direct impact on food security.
Let me ask a final question. Beyond the proposed imposition of levy on the polymer, what other recommendation would you put forth?
I would say that we need to always look at it from the business perspective. Plastics is here, and we might not be able to kill the industry, but we need to look at what is problematic and what is not problematic. What is the value of the plastic material? And then rate it according to the value chain. If you are employing someone at the local level who is picking these things from home to home, what is the person making? And is that worth it? If it is not worth it, then we kill that particular material because there are so many varieties of plastics in the system. And if we look at it from the business perspective, we would be able to eliminate the ones that are actually causing the problems, because it is when you don't want it that it mostly ends up on the street. And then the ones that are having financial value, we actually also set up systems like as government and as municipalities for people to easily return these bottles, return these sachets, and make money out of that.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon as we talk about plastic and the ongoing international conference to try and find a solution to the plastic menace in the country. And yesterday in our field exhibition, you saw how plastic is hampering economic activities of folks in some of the coastal areas here in Accra. But a rainstorm has wreaked havoc in the Anloga district of the Volta region, destroying property worth millions of Ghana cedis. The storm, which caused the greatest damage in the district, deroofed several residential and educational infrastructure and damaged electricity and telephony installations. There is more in this report by Fred Kwame Asari.
According to the Anloga Secretariat of the National Disaster Management Organization, about 20 educational institutions were affected by the rainstorm. Basic schools and second cycle institutions had sections of roofings of buildings ripped off, books and other learning materials destroyed, and trees uprooted. The Anglo Senior High School is recorded to have suffered the greatest damage. A dining pavilion completely collapsed, while parts of the kitchen were damaged.
As we speak, our ICT laboratory, Agric Science Department, Visual Arts Studio, Sports Pavilion, Azuma Pavilion, Assembly Shed, 2 parking lot, 2 girls' dormitory have all been ripped off. Our major problem as we speak is that the dining hall that we use and the kitchen, temporary ones, have all been floored as we speak. The problem is that the main dining hall being built since 2012 has not been completed. And the temporary shed made for us has also been pulled down by the rains. And as we speak, we have challenges cooking for our students.
The Anglo-Ghana District Education Director, Dominic Yao Janadu, asserted that the disaster would impede academic activities as school reopens on 30th April 2024.
Is actually a problem and a concern to us. So our cry is that we need support from the government, from NGOs, from civil society organizations to come to the aid of our schools so that something should be done concerning the roofing of the school and then putting up certain structures for the students to go through their learning when school resumes on the 30th of April 2024.
About 300 households were damaged by the rainstorm. The majority of the houses had their roofs ripped off, displacing members of the households. A mobile telecommunication mast at Jita collapsed, while electrical installations also suffered great damage. The Anglo-Ghana District Chief Executive, Seth Yomewu, lamented the devastation caused by the storm and appealed for external support.
The damage was so great, which we cannot contain as a district alone. And we are appealing to everybody, philanthropists, and they should come to our aid. Because what happened, as I've said earlier, I didn't see it before. It's very terrible. So we are just appealing to Ministry of Education, government, to come to our aid, especially NADBU, so that at the end, we can do something for our people. We are doing our best as a district.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
Well, some victims of the flood disaster occasioned by the spillage of the Konsombo Dam last year say they are yet to get their lives back as they continue to reel under the harsh conditions aftermath. According to the National Disaster Management Organization, not more 39,000 lives were affected, rendering some homeless 6 months after the disaster. The future looks bleak as the government is yet to announce resettlement and compensation plans. In an upcoming Joy News documentary, Life After the Floods, some of them tell Joy News how rebuilding and survival after the flood has become extremely difficult.
This is where I used to stay with my family.
Okay.
Yeah, so for now, the status of it is not even looking nice for you. As yourself, you can see.
Okay.
There's no one in because I'm the one. I'm now living with my sister.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very, very painful anytime when I get here. That's why you can even see there's no cleaning. Because when I get there, when I see things, then I don't know what to touch. I don't even know where to start from. So I feel very sad.
I alone, I'm having cassava farm about 10 acres. And the others, they are having. In Siko right now, if you go to the farm top, everything tend to firewood. All our cassava tend to firewood. And we can't afford our life together. How are we going? And up to now, the village is not telling anything about our life. How are we going to survive?
The flood scattered everything because of the spirit. The piglets are all died. It take them away, and nothing remains.
So at the time, you had about how many pigs in here?
I have about 85. I'm very much annoyed with VRE, and we are not hearing anything from them. My house collapsed, and we are all at Agbetipu camp there. We at the tent where we are not getting it easy at all.
abe madana America amenye la sinyo tam de anka akpa alafama aton ame de kame ta wa menye mara se bi wakata me akpa alafa toton na menye me.
So the documentary Life After the Floods will air on Monday, April 29, 2024 here on Joy News. Now, as illegal mining continues to poison Ghana's major water sources and degrade its forests, Joy News has been learning how public-spirited individuals in the state of Arizona are fighting the future effects of copper mining on their water reserves, cultural sites, and livelihoods. Despite the regulated mining regime in Phoenix and Texas, citizens still have fears of long-term effects of copper mining there. In a sharp contrast with the situation in Ghana, citizens' action is strong in protecting the environment. As part of a media cooperation between the U.S. Foreign Press Center and, of course, the multimedia group Erasmus Arodonko of Lab FM and Kofi Asare, they've been touring and learning about mining in Phoenix and Texas and its impact on livelihoods. Here's a report filed by Erasmus Arodonko.
In Ghana, an uncontrolled, haphazard, small-scale artisanal mining exploration continues to poison major rivers and streams and reduce forests at a faster rate. Through the U.S. Foreign Press Center, we explore how mining is done in the USA, specifically the state of Arizona. At the Tucson airport, we join Bruce Gordon, pilot and founder of EcoFlight, an organization that is using aerial perspective in educating and advocating for environmental conservation and justice.
EcoFlight, which is the organization, which is a non-profit organization, we work with over 400 conservation groups around the country, mostly in the West now. In fact, last year we flew 1,000 people. So to pin it down to just one issue is very difficult because, you know, one of our primary missions is to address climate change.
We fly over Tucson and the breathtaking copper mining fields of Phoenix, Arizona.
You know, these basically, since they're on the flat, there's a dam all the way around it, and the construction on most of these dams is called upstream construction. So they basically start and they use the tailings themselves to build the dam. And the way they keep their integrity is you can't have water right up to the edge of the dam itself.
Roger Featherstone is our guide. An aerial view shows an imposing complex of organized mining fields, settlements, tailings dams, and natural environments traveling miles. More organized compared to this footage of small-scale mining in the Apamprama Forest Reserve in the Ashanti region of Ghana. There are 27 major mines in Arizona, including 10 major copper mines, which produce 23 to 632 million pounds of copper per year. Only 2 of the 10 major copper mines are located north of Phoenix. The rest are located in the southeastern part of the state. Mining in Arizona happens either on public or private land. Though both attract environmental scrutiny from the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, mining on public land requires one to present a detailed environmental impact assessment as part of the permit process. Dinah Bear, a retired counsel for U.S. President's Council on Environmental Quality, identifies the shortfalls in Ghana's environmental impact assessment laws.
I spent some time in the last couple of days looking at the environmental impact assessment in Ghana. There seemed to be 3 elements that were missing from the process in Ghana that are really the key elements here. Number 1 is the requirement to look at alternatives. The second is the requirement to analyze cumulative effects, not just direct and indirect effects. And the third, very, very important, is judicial review. Not just an administrative appeal, but judicial review by federal courts. The requirement to look at alternatives allows an agency and the public and other agencies to actually consider different ways of achieving a particular goal and to say no at times or to come up with a completely different approach to an issue. One of the alternatives that agencies always have to look at is the no action alternative, not going forward with the project. And that was used for one particular mine where the Secretary of Interior personally made the decision to not go forward with the mine because of its impacts on indigenous peoples.
At the offices of the Arizona State Natural Resources, we engaged Director of Water Quality Division, ADEC, Trevor Baguer, Deputy Director, Randall Matas, Director of Air Quality, Daniel Chekolinsky, and Manager for Air Permits and Compliance.
Our aquifer protection program is all about protecting our groundwater. All groundwater in Arizona is considered drinking water, so we protect it as if it's drinking water. The Clean Water Act program is all about making sure that if there are discharges, if there's water coming off of a mine site, that it meets certain standards, that it's treated in such that it's not impacting it, it's not negatively impacting our water body. And then our reuse program ensures that any water reuse that occurs on a site is done in a way that's still protective of both surface and groundwater. The Aquifer Protection Program, the Groundwater Protection Program, has what are called categorical facilities. If you're going to have certain types of mine features, you've got to come to us to get a permit before you can even construct those facilities. The Clean Water Act programs, it all depends on what you're going to do with the water. If there is a nearby stream, maybe not as big of a water body as where you're from, but if you're going to discharge to one of those regulated waters, you have to come to us to get a permit before you can discharge. So it's a pretty intense process with lots and lots of technical documentation and many engineers working on ensuring that whatever you would be doing is going to protect that groundwater. At what point do we deny that permit? There have been instances when we have denied permits in the past. Generally, when we deny permits, it's when the mining operation wants to continue with mining, but they fail to provide the technical justification to show that that mine will be operated safely. Most of the time, if a company determines that they cannot meet the requirements, they will withdraw those permits, and we do not have to deny them.
So we're looking at, background air quality. So what does that air quality look like? We will then get information from the mine on what the processes are, their emission controls, what their throughput, and we will then model that, looking at that information along with weather, topography, and other factors to ensure that the emissions from the mine do not negatively impact the ambient air outside the mine before we would issue a permit. The mine would also go through a public comment period. So, when we get that, we would then provide that permit out for the public so they can comment at a public hearing so we can hear from the community that they're going to be operating in. Make sure that we answer any concerns or the mine answers any concerns that the community may have.
Whenever the company does any kind of testing of the pollution, we are out there because there are very rigorous EPA prescribed protocols that companies have to follow. So we will have our stack testing person out there to supervise that kind of testing. Additionally, with respect to monitoring, in some of our kind of newer mining projects, we require ongoing air quality monitoring. So when we look at the air dispersion model that the computer spits out, we kind of know what the hotspot locations are. So meaning that based on the dominant wind direction and how the emission units are expected to perform, your impacts are going to be maybe at a maximum level at a specific location. So in that general area, we may require the company to place a monitor.
But beneath these regulatory assurances and array of organized mining landscapes from above, communities have major current and future concerns. Velon Hussein is chairman of the Tohono O'odham Nation, a federally recognized tribe of Native American people in Arizona and northern Mexican state of Sonora.
The damage that it's caused already to local communities is contaminating the basic necessity of life, water. Water is life. And the effects that it had from the local communities in drinking that water years after years after years, we can't undo. the diseases or the health challenges that it may have caused to individuals, we can't undo. We can't go back and turn the time for those, but we can fix what's wrong right now. And so we're working on that with the mine.
Roger Featherstone, former miner and director of the Arizona Mining Reform Coalition, a civil society group in Arizona, is worried about America's over 100-year-old mining laws, which he believes have become ineffective in protecting the environment.
Federal mining laws are 150 years old. So we see, because of the outsized influence that the mining industry has on our agencies and the legislature, that the laws that protect the environment in our communities are weak. First of all, on the federal side, the federal government feels because of the laws they don't have the right to say no to a mine. And there's simply got to be some places in the United States that are off limits to mining from day one. Certainly the big one is there has to be some places that are off limits. The second one is there's got to be much better laws as far as protection, both while mining is continuing or happening and then for reclamation and when the mining life is over.
This is Oak Flats, a beautiful piece of national forest land in central Arizona. It is considered a sacred land, especially to the Apache tribes. It is close to the town of Superior, where Henry Munoz, a former miner, was born and raised. This peaceful forest campground is about to be disturbed with a proposed Resolution Copper project jointly owned by Rio Tinto and BHP companies. Though the project promises little surface environmental impact with its 5,000 to 7,000 feet underground mining, Henry Munoz thinks otherwise.
I talked to the CEO of Rio Tinto in England when I went with Roger Featherstone, and I confronted him with that question. I said, why don't you do the conventional mining that we did in the past, where you didn't have subsidence, you recycled the waste, and you didn't consume that much water in that mining technique? And he said, because we can't make any money, he said. So in other words, I told him, so you're basically telling me you have to destroy my environment and my drinking water so that 2 foreign mining companies can make money? I said, that ain't going to happen. 250 billion gallons of water. That's enough water for a municipality of 160,000 people that they use in 1 year. Okay? For 40 years, that's how much water they're going to draw up. 40,000 acre feet, maybe more a year for this mine project. So when I got on the council, we were pushing for recreation, tourism, hiking, and climbing. As you can see, this area is so beautiful. And this area will last till the end of time. But once you bring in that mine here and you destroy all of this environment here, is it worth it? 40 years or eternity of beauty?
Despite the regulatory agencies for mining in Arizona, the city's major environmental police are its residents. Civil society groups like the tribes, Carlos Apache and the Odono Nation mining reform coalitions test the law to fight against abuse of the environment and the preservation of life.
And that's our show for today, Friday. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. Stories making rounds, KPMG report on SML must be published and laid in Parliament. That's according to Isaac Adongo, the ranking member on the Finance Committee of Parliament. My name is Elton Brobe. You have a good weekend. We shall be back on Monday with another exciting edition. Until then, whatever you are up to in the hours and the weekend ahead, I do hope it's profitable. Good evening.